Hey guys, welcome back to another segment of how to build your layout from start to finish. Now we just did the introduction to wiring just a little bit ago, and now I'm working on the actual wiring. Now in the introduction I told you have to get a wiring schematic going, and I showed you that, so if you need to look at that you can go back to the last video to check that out. But what I have here are the barrier strips mounted with double-sided tape because I'm too lazy to screw them in. They're mounted under the table like the wiring schematic shows. As you see, I've already got some things wired, but don't let that scare you. That won't do any help to you if I don't actually go through wiring, so I've left one to do wiring with you. Now, this is my double crossover here, so it's got more wires going to it. But as you can see, I've marked the inner and outer wire for just ease of memory, so I don't have to constantly think which is inner, which is outer. Now, as I mentioned before, your outer track is going to be one wire, your inner track's going to be another wire, and just if you think in those terms, it'll be easier for you as we work on these barrier strips here. But all the barrier strips are installed all the way under my layout. Another thing you may notice is I've got C-clamps here that are holding together the modules. Now if you're a modular layout person, you want these clamps holding them together so they're not rocking back and forth and causing your roadbed to separate from its mate on the opposite side, or your track to get messed up. So I've got C-clamps all the way around also. But that's that. The more important part of this video that you're going to find useful is wiring this. So let's go ahead and get started on wiring. Come over here. Okay. Now what we need to look at here is I've got my inner and outer wires corresponding, and I've got it tagged here, like I said, so I don't have to think. And these are wired up to these barrier strips. So what we're going to do is move over here. I like using a chair because I can access it easier, but I've left this one unwired. So you've got your barrier strip. You've got your barrier strip here. I need you to go under. So you got your barrier strip, and I've installed the jumpers on opposite ends. Now what we're doing on this wiring schematic here is we're keeping in mind that the outer track is going to be on the top and the inner track is going to be on the bottom. So this is going to be the outer track, this is going to be the inner track. So what I've got to do is take the wires here. I didn't mark all of them, I just marked a couple for reference. But I've got my outer track wires. Keep in mind, if you got more than one track like I do, a double oval, you're going to have to keep in mind which one's outer and which one's inner. This is somewhat complicated to understand unless you're doing it, but I'm stripping my wire now. I'm braiding it because this wire, this is the wire for the terminal joiners, and it's not very good wire. It needs to be braided or twisted like that. And since that's the outer track, that's going to go on the top here. And we're just going to, you want to do the outer post first, because these two inner posts here, the one on each side of each, you got to think of this barrier strip as two 8 strip sections, two 8-part sections. So 8 screws, 8 screws. This is the outer, this is the inner. So what we're doing here is that the outer rail, we're going to go ahead on the very last screw, going to loop it around, and we're going to screw it tight here. Now I kind of give it a tug so that the wire is good and screwed to the center, or good and pulled to the center, and just make it a little bit snug. Don't make it too snug because it can actually snap the wire. So that's the outer, and now I need to do the outer on the other one, and that'll go here, and then I'll do the inner wire on this opposite end, and you're going to be doing it from the other side of the barrier strip there. So you want it opposite of the jumpers, but it can, if you have enough track, it can be on top of the jumper. It's no big deal. You just got to make sure outer rails are on this side, inner rails are on this side. They don't ever touch each other. If they do, you're going to get a short. The outer wires can touch each other. You can outer wire with an outer wire, an inner wire with an inner wire, because they're same polarity. But if you make those two meet each other, outer and inner, that's opposite polarity, and that's going to cause a short. So I know this is kind of hard to understand, but just keep in mind these barrier strips are not the only way you can do it. This is just an easier way. But for really simple layouts, you only need like one wire for outer, one wire for inner rail, and it could go straight to your DCC controller if you wanted to do it that way. But it's really not going to cause any. It's not going to cause a lot of power feeds to your layout, and a lot of model railroaders suggest a terminal joiner with a power feed to your layout every 5 or 6 feet, or maybe even less, 2 or 3 feet. So I've got about every 3 or 4 feet, so not too bad for power feeds. Well, that's about it. Catch us next time when we'll be doing the bus wires. I'm going to go ahead and get this wired up here, and then you see how it works. This is outer. I guess, you know what, let's go ahead and do an inner. I think I should be as thorough as possible with you guys because it really is hard to understand for me. So let's go ahead and do an inner on the other one. Keep in mind you're stripping the wire. Sometimes I'm not that good at these wire strippers. I thought were my favorite, but they're starting to get on my nerves. So we're stripping the wire, braiding it, looping it, and since this is a inner wire, you see these holes here where the wires are coming through. This is outer, this is outer, this is inner, this is inner. Just think of the rail as 4 ovals, or 2 ovals, one within the other. And the outer rail is the outermost rail of the oval on both. So it's not too hard. Sometimes you just overthink it and it gets complicated when you think of it too much. Let's see, so I made the loop here and I didn't unscrew far enough. Got my loop. Got the wire around the loop. Screw it back down. Now what that's going to do, outer rail, inner rail, 2 separate things. You've got this barrier, creating this barrier strip, which creates a barrier in between each block. And then these jumpers, what they're doing is connecting the blocks to each other. So if you didn't have these jumpers in here, you'd have, let's see, 8 different blocks. But because these jumpers are in here, you've got, this is the inner, this is the outer, and they're connected to each other. You can wire up to 8 on each side of inner and outer rails. So hopefully that's not too complicated. I'll try to offer support to you guys on email and Facebook and things like that if you have any questions. But next time, tomorrow, we'll be doing the bus wiring. I'll do some, show you how it looks complete, and then I'll do some with you again online or on a video so you can see how that's working. Thanks for watching. See you next time.